I'm so excited for you to listen to this episode with my friend Asia. Asia is somebody that I met online, and we both connected because it felt like it was two old souls coming together talking about business creation and soul-centered business, soul-centered entrepreneurship. We also talk about showing up as your authentic self, motherhood while being a business owner, as well as being a rebel with a cause, and what that really means to Asia, as well as what it means to me in this day and age and in this society that wants us to be very much the same. Choosing to show up as yourself is already rebellious. And that's what I teach my students, to own and hone their magic and really be able to trust their own secret sauce, trust themselves. So her and I have had an incredible conversation, and I'm just going to let you slide right into it. And I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Host Tiffany Chung, your go-to for all things marketing, mindset, and manifestation. I grew my online business from 0 to beyond 6 figures in 8 months. My purpose is to empower women to step into the highest, most aligned versions of themselves. If you are ready to take charge of your life, learn how to design a wildly successful business, and leave limiting beliefs behind, you've come to the right place. You will learn the actionable tips and step-by-step strategies on money, manifestation, and social media. It's time to step into your role as boss, to raise your vibration and tap into your unlimited potential today. Welcome to the Social Reset Podcast. Okay. Hello and welcome to the Social Reset Podcast. I have Asia here with me today, and we're going to have an incredible conversation about all of the things. Asia is someone that I've connected with online. I feel like a couple of months ago, but it feels like it's been longer than that.
It feels like it's been like a year.
Yeah. And we're very aligned, and there's just so much in common with the way that we both view the world and energetics and our business and motherhood. So I thought might as well have her on, have a conversation. So I'm going to have you introduce yourself.
Amazing. As you said, I'm Asia already. I like to think of myself as like an expression muse, a cosmic teacher of just so many realms of ethereal magic and how we've come here to live, and just the truth of our essence and the truth of our being. I'm really big motivator of being a rebel with a cause and being able to disrupt the current paradigms that's going on in the world, and being able to step back into the role you came here to play, like the role that you chose, and reminding people at its core. And my mission is to really remind you that you have a choice, and that you are a creator, and that you are literally a fragment of divine consciousness, and you have that divine power within you to just create whatever you want to in this world. And that is really what is happening when you access the depth of your purest expression. And like, I'm a mom of two, literally two under two, a wife, and all of these other labels. I have two sisters, grew up in poverty. I'm a Black woman, if we're looking at societal standards, and just so many different things that have really brought my eyes to a clearer view of how I view the world, how I desire to operate, how I want the world to operate, and what kind of world I want to live in. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, no, that's so beautiful. That was poetic. So, tell us a little bit about how you got started in this work and just understanding your own soul, your own purpose here on this earth, and through it, your business, right? Like, how did that all come to be?
I feel like it's such a short story, but such a long one. I really one day randomly I've always known that I wasn't supposed to be in a normal 9 to 5. I quite literally could not find anything that I could find even remotely exciting or even remotely like entertaining or something that I could really see myself diving into. Because I was good at so many things, but none of them really like sparked me in a way where I felt like, yes, this is how I'm going to help people. Yes, this is how I'm going to move people, because that's always just been my thing. I used to want to be a criminologist. I used to want to be a forensic scientist. I wanted to be a politician, all with the guise of wanting to just help other people and move us into something better. Literally always been my thing. But I dropped out of college. I'm like, I'm smarter than all my teachers. I'm not doing this. I know most of this. So I dropped out of college, had my first son, and was still working like not 9 to 5s, but barista jobs, jumping from barista job to barista job, because every single job wound up having a problem. They cut my hours. I wasn't making enough money. They had a problem with me setting boundaries. It was always something. So I finally went to an astrologer and I said, what the fuck? Because what is going on? What is going on? I just want to be able to pay my bills and have a life and take care of my son and live with my husband. That's all I want. Why is it so hard? Why is it so complicated? I'm not asking for a lot, was literally my sentence. I said, I'm not asking for a lot. What's the problem? And she very clearly said, looking at your sixth house, you're not supposed to be working for anybody anyway. I said, that's great. That's not what I asked. I asked, how can I find a job and what is the problem and how can I just make money? And she was like, well, you're not supposed to work for anybody. And in my mind, I just completely wrote that off. I was like, that's ridiculous. I don't have time to be an entrepreneur. I don't have time to start my own thing. I don't even know what I would do. I don't have time for that. So I continued to have the problems in my job, and they actually just kept getting worse. I had a miscarriage out of nowhere right before Grayson. I had an ectopic pregnancy that I literally almost bled out from and died. I was in the hospital for like a week, got fired from my job because I was in the hospital. They said, we can't supplement your work. What is that? Your role for 6 weeks while you recover. I said, okay. I said, okay, Starbucks. Okay.
Yeah, that's
cool.
Insane.
So I started like thinking back to what she said. I said, so at this point, there's no coincidence. This is ridiculous. And so I just really dropped in. I said, okay, so maybe this has some merit. So then I just started to do something that I was like, everybody else could do. So everybody else is already doing this. People like this. Let me just try this. So I tried to go into like being a mommy YouTuber and a mommy blogger and like conscious parenting. Oh my God, it was so boring. Like I just was bored out of my mind. And not like conscious motherhood and parenthood is something wrong. It's amazing. We need to talk about it more. I have had a coach about conscious motherhood and really being there for my children and myself better. But it just was like you squeeze out a sponge, like trying to find the juices to put into this, and it just wasn't happening. And I was just like, in this teeter-totter of how can I really do something that's for myself? In like just this really breaking down point of crumbling, of not being able to pay our bills, not getting enough hours, me having to go to work just to pay for daycare so that I could remotely have $100 left over just for my paycheck to help my husband do something in terms of paying money. And it really just got to this breakdown point of like, I can't keep living like this. Clearly, something is trying to be taught to me. Clearly, my path is trying to be redirected. Clearly, I need to do something else. And then one day I was sitting literally in the middle of a breakdown. It was like, look up my guides, whispered in my ear, and I had no idea. Didn't even know coaching was a world. Didn't even know spiritual teaching was something people made money from. And not in a way of like sleazy sliminess. Like I knew that was a thing, but I meant like real authenticity from their gifts, from their nourishment, being in their bodies, and just having these businesses as extensions of themselves. And I'm like, when the fuck did that become a thing? And when did this happen? And that was about 3 years ago. And I was just sitting on the couch and they were like, look up life coaching. And I was like, looking up life coaching. Okay. And then I looked it up and I'm like, yo, so we might be onto something here. And it wasn't even the fact that of me being like a specific life coach. It was just opening the door of realms of possibility that I didn't even know existed. And I was like, holy crap, I say 90% of this stuff every day. I talk about this stuff all the time. This is what I look up, read about on a daily basis. This is what I YouTube my videos about. And I was like, oh, but I didn't think that I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I realized that that was what I wanted to, like to, needed to do, and what people came to me for anyway, I was like, oh, this was a very long-winded answer, but this is how, and my business has gone through so many iterations, like conscious motherhood, just coaching, like coaching anybody on anything, to just really see what I enjoyed, and taking so many hiatuses and
Yeah.
of just reflection of seeing what's working, what's not, what do I enjoy, what isn't. And I think that as my 1-3 human profile just really likes the game of experimenting, of seeing what is working, what isn't working, what I could do more of, and just really been this game of opening myself up to more of myself that I forgot I was. And I've always been like this.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to my friends, they were like, no, you've always been weird. You've always talked about this stuff. Like, this is not new. They were just like, it's just more in the public now. It's just more out there now. It's more robust and
Right.
audacious now. But you've always been like this. So it's not like I wasn't hiding from anybody as much as I tried to believe I was hiding. I was just not seeing it to its truest potential. And that's
Yeah.
where this iteration of soul synergy like has come
Mm-hmm.
through, is like the meshing of all of the diversification in your body, in your essence, in your cells, and how to bring that into one merging to create your own personal sense of power and individuation, is all of those trials and errors that had that had happened, and all of me not listening and having it to get to like the worst possible situation for me to actually take that leap.
Right. Oh, I love that. That's really beautiful. And I think there's so much that I can relate to within that as well, because I feel like I know bits of what you've shared and what conversations you and I have had, but just to hear it all laid out in that way, I think is amazing. I think that that's also like where it's just funny how like in society and from the school system and how we've been conditioned to be raised our entire lives, it's like, how could there possibly be an option where I decide to go into work for myself? Like we're primed from a young age, like the school system itself was built to create more workers and to create more of that, more hours equals more money from industrialism. And so and then with college, it's like for a while, if you didn't have a college degree, there were certain jobs that were available, certain jobs that weren't available. And now it's like that doesn't even need to exist outside of the limitations of our own mind. And for both of us as mothers, we get to allow and empower our kids to create a future and careers that didn't look like having to follow a very specific, strict path either, which I think is incredible. And I also wanted to touch on what you said about just trying a couple of different things and seeing what you enjoyed and seeing what you didn't enjoy. For you, it was conscious parenting and talking about motherhood in that way. For me, it was that a little bit, even though I don't think I would have completely called myself like a mommy blogger, or I did definitely make motherhood content. It was more so solely social media content, where I felt like I looked at social media from every angle. It was a lot more masculine back then. Of course, it still had, my twist because it was me, but I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, just like the analogy of the sponge. I was like, I want there to be more. So that's when I was
Yeah.
able to incorporate my spirituality and my spiritual awakenings and all of the different ways of who I was and who I wanted to be into my business, which is another thing I want to talk to you about, is creating that raw authenticity, not just in your business, but in your life as well. And also online, like both of us are pretty active on social media, and it's how we connect with new people. It's how we met. How do you feel like you navigate through that in your life and in your business right now?
Oh, it's so funny because I'm literally in the midst of like a self-imposed new challenge that my guys gave me of like deepening authenticity have a towel because my hands are hot, but deepening authenticity and like opening yourself up to be seen in a newer light and more powerful light, especially like for women, is more so what I like really focus on, just because of the conditioning, like you said, of even pumping out things and knowing and meeting industrialism, colonialism, patriarchy, socialism, socialization, the myths of racism and racial injustice all at the head, and being able to disassociate my identity from those things. Me knowing that, like earlier I said, Black woman by social standards, but I don't even use that as something in my identity, because I don't want that label to define me, or the stereotypes that define me, or the trauma that comes with being a Black woman that define me. That doesn't mean that I ignore the traumas and bypass the conditionings that come with it, but detaching my identity is choosing to see myself as more than that. And when you're seeing yourself as more than just this, more than just that, my daughter has attitude, so you might hear her screaming, but
okay.
More than just this, more than just that, and being able to see yourself as all of it really allows you to say that one day, like with me, just with intimacy, one day I might want to be very cuddly, one day I might want a lot of attention, the next day I don't. I actually don't want to talk to anybody. I actually don't want to be talked to at all. I actually just want to be left alone. And that is okay. Not saying that I'm bipolar or I'm all of these different distinctions. And it's just, no, I'm just me. I want to do stuff like going hiking or going to pottery classes, and being able to see how you following those things that light you up, even if they're not making you money, because we've also been conditioned in the world that if you're doing something, then it has to be something that makes you money, or it has to be something that directly gives you an ROI in some way. Even the friends that you hang out with have to be giving you some type of ROI, instead of it just being people that excite you, people that you admire, people that inspire you, or doing things that excite you, ignite your creativity and inspire you. We steer away from those things because we're seeing them as not important, or I could prioritize something else, or this is going to move me faster, or my child might need this, and not follow what you need. Like, if you know that you need rest as a mother, you know that you need rest, you know that you need space, you know that you need a break, and we're told that no, you can't have that. No, you can't have a break. No, you don't need any help. No, you should be able to do it all by yourself. That's completely disrespecting your soul and how you're feeling in all facets, mentally, emotionally, physically, because that starts to physically weigh you down.
Yeah.
And when you're not paying attention to this level of honesty with yourself, it's such a deep disrespect for what you need, and not honoring your what you, I keep saying what you need, but it's your requirements for being healthy, your requirements for being vibrant, your requirements for being able to show up for everybody else in your life, including yourself.
Right.
And if you're not, and authenticity is so much more than just showing up online and crying a little bit, or maybe doing some surface level shadow work. It's really being able to say, no, this is me. I know who I am. Again, outside of labels, outside of false identities, outside of racial profiling, outside of the conditioning of the should be, will be, have to, and all of those other ideals that shove down our throats, that really stagnate our creativity and stagnate what we want to do. And I've learned that the more that you follow what you want to do, is accessing really the safety of your desires. Like, I really just did not want to go to work. I kept having problems at work because I didn't really want to go. I didn't want to be there. Like, I didn't. And so me losing less hours was giving me back what I was saying that I needed and what I said that I wanted, which was to not be there. I just wasn't using the time because I was seeing it as somebody doing something to me. I was seeing it as something that was inhibiting on my lifestyle. I was seeing it as something going wrong because I was in such a deep stage of victimality, but not knowing how I was allowing myself and opening up chances for me to really be able to pursue what I deeply wanted, and being able to pay attention to what I deeply wanted. And when you're navigating that in your life, you have better relationships because you're saying, this is nothing personal, but this is not what I need. And I'm not able to give you what you need because I'm not receiving what I need, and that's okay. This is, even in your, like, I know you really market to coaches and help coaches. even if you're a coach or you're starting in the coaching space, if those people don't want to be coached by you, that does not mean that you're less valuable as a coach. You just might not be their flavor. And that's all okay. That doesn't mean you take away your own authenticity. And
Mm-hmm.
something that very deeply came up during this challenge time is that you don't need to stand out by standing over people. You don't need to stand out. Your authenticity doesn't come from how much better you could be than this person, how you can say
Yeah.
this differently, how you can do this program better, how you can have more in this. And it's really just saying, how can I show up fully
Mm-hmm.
myself, interact with social media fully myself, serve in the way that I was awakened and desired to serve, and how can that be enough? And how can I look at my life and allow it to be enough? That was so
Yeah.
long-winded.
No, I love it. Take me to church. I love it. It's like every time you open your mouth, it's like I'm mesmerized. Yeah. And that's so real, especially that last part of like we feel like we need to do authenticity right, or we need to show up the right way, or we need to decide how are we gonna show ourselves online. And like you talked a little bit about whether it's like competition or how to show someone up or whatever it is. It's like we've been taught over and over and over, because I feel like this comes from a place of like feeling like who we are in our core is not enough. Like we need to add, we need to take on like all of these different identities. We need to be more like somebody else. We need to show up more professional, right? We need
Yeah,
to be all of these facets of these people and identities that we aren't, because I think a lot of what we've been taught over time is to feel shame over who we actually are, or to feel
yeah,
disconnected from our heart, disconnected from our souls. And so because of that narrative, because of that messaging over and over and over, where we're literally disconnected from our own bodies, right? There are adults that have no idea how to process their feelings or listen to
or
their
even how to
intuition.
breathe.
Yeah. Yeah, because they've never been taught it, and it takes getting to a point, sometimes rock bottom, where they're like, "Whoa, I really need to look into this," because it's never been something that they felt like was a priority, and they keep
Yeah,
going in these same loops of like, why do I keep staying stuck in the same issues? Why do the same problems keep coming up in my life? And don't realize that it's because of the suppression of who they are, or not feeling their feelings, or not being able to advocate for themselves, or letting people step all over them, or maybe stepping all over other people, right? It can look so many different ways. And I really think this comes back to one of my core values within my business, and the way that I coach new coaches, is that you are the magic, right? You are the secret sauce. You are the thing that your people need, not you showing up as a version of somebody else, not you showing up and trying to, copy and paste and be a replica of someone you look up to. It's you owning all aspects of who you are as a complete and whole human being. That is the thing that your people need to see. And you mentioned labels, right? Like I could fit myself into a number of labels: queer, Asian American, single mom, right? There's like second generation immigrant. And so I feel like sometimes these labels are powerful in the way that we, connect ourselves to specific communities, where we get to take back our power and really be proud of who we are. But at the same time, sometimes it feels very compartmentalized, where it's not as black and white as a label, right? It just isn't. There are so many facets of who we are as a human being, as a whole human being. And I just loved what you shared about that, because you said you're so much more, right? And I feel like all of us are so much more than the connotations and denotations that come with specific labels. So I love that.
no, absolutely. It's like, even when you ask people who they are, like me as an adult trying to find friends, asking people who they are, and they're like, oh, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a
Mm.
graduate of this degrees.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, that tells me absolutely nothing about your character. That tells
Right.
me absolutely nothing about your values. That tells me absolutely nothing what lives rent free in your head. You know what lives rent free in my head? What is going to happen if metahumans start to come into the world? That's what goes rent free through my head. If you ask me and want to get to know me, I'm thinking about metahumans. I'm thinking about the possibility of superheroes. That's what I'm thinking about for no reason. I have no reason to be thinking about it. I just am.
Yeah.
So it's just like, how do you watch TV? If we watch the same show, what makes it good for you versus what makes it good for me? These little nuggets and buckets, like just sitting with your beingness and knowing who you are in every facet,
Mm-hmm.
knowing why you like to do this versus why you don't like to do that, knowing what kind of person energy really fires you up and what kind of person's energy is not your favorite, not in an attacking sense, just knowing how your energy and noticing how your energy is interacting with people. I went
Yeah.
to Seattle for my birthday
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks ago, and I love doing that because I get to see people who don't talk to me all the time. And my best friend was like, y'all could talk to her. I have these conversations with her all the time. I don't need to hear it. So her boyfriend and his friend were just asking me so many questions, and they were so profound about like being spiritual, but also having like, how do you explain slavery? How do you explain suffering? How do you know that that you're feeling unprotected? How do you know somebody's energy is not like connecting with yours? And these questions were exciting to me because these are questions that you ask people when you want to get to know them. These are conversations that you have to get to know people and get to
Yeah.
see their authenticity, get to see their opinions. And this is how, if we were living in a world of fullness and truth, people could have these conversations on a wider scale so that we can build a society that's more conducive, so that we can dismantle the education system so it could be a more conducive way for people to form and learn instead of the same industrialized system that we have in the work week. If we pay attention to
Yep.
schools, my child has a short attention span. He is 2 years old. Why is he going to school the same amount of hours that adults are working? For what? What are they doing? It's
For
the same
real.
system being burned into our children at a young age that
Yep.
was happening when cars weren't even a thing.
Yeah.
Like how long ago this were? People didn't even have tampons. Okay, tampons were not invented, and we're still paying attention to the same rules
Yep.
from the same thing, and nobody asks any questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I'm glad you're bringing this up too, because it's like it's the same thing with the fucking 5-day work weeks, right? Like that was created by men who had housewives that would cook and clean for them and take care of their kids all day so that they could just come home and eat and fuck around and go to sleep, right? Like that is no
what a day.
longer that's no longer the case, and yet we still have so many of these structures that are systemically broken from the get-go, right? It's and then we look at and then we point fingers at one another when it's like everything is designed this way. It's designed
Yeah.
essentially for us to show up a certain way, to think a certain way, not think about certain things, right? And then to essentially form this person that ends up responding to questions like who are you as their most accomplished things. They're the labels that they've been taught are what they should be proud of, and certain things that
Or what they do for
hiding.
other people.
Exactly. Especially for women and those socialized as women. It's like, how much can you give, right? You're socially conditioned to give and then give some more. And when it hurts, give even more, right? It's like there's so much of that unpaid labor that falls on the shoulders of women, specifically women of color.
Especially because of the years of working as housewives, thinking that that was our duty just because we love somebody. And then on top of
Yep.
that, being here like, dang, I lost my train of thought. But it was definitely, yeah, we were just conditioned in that. And
Yeah.
my air
Yep.
sign, the thoughts just be flying away. It's really okay. But the essence of it is just like, there we go. We can't be so sensitive to talk about things, pointing fingers at each other, saying, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, you did this. No, you did that. And it's like, nobody cares. We just want it to be better. I don't care who
Right.
did it. I just want it to be different. And it's like, even with relationships, we do that of saying, no, you hurt my feelings. I didn't like how you did this. You're not listening to me. You're doing this, all this accusatory language. Well, you actually have no idea what's going on in the internal world of that person. There could be
Mhm.
1,000 different trauma receptors happening inside of them. And you're just saying, well, they're just trying to be this bad person. Wow, now it came all the way back. Love talking. But the thought of, we just want to be good people.
Yeah.
We've been conditioned to just want to be good people. This is the biggest one of them all, like the biggest connector that keeps the system in place of, and I'm not saying the system as if it has loom and lord over you. You have your own sovereignty, and sovereignty is the medicine for the system. But the system was able to be designed and created because we all just wanted to be good people. Everybody just wants to be a good person. So we came up and used all these lies and justifications and criterias and requirements of what it looks like to be a good person. And then that goes into professionalism, what it looks like to be a good employee, what it looks like to be a good employer, what it looks like to be a good wife, a good mother, a good child, a good sibling, a good friend. And we all have all of these requirements, unseen requirements in this thick old rule book of unseen but definitely deeply known conditionings of how we need to show to be a good person. And once we break down what it means and changes the criteria of what it means to be a good person, I think we really crack open our eyes to authenticity, because that's why it's so hard for people to meet their shadows and have these conversations and see where they've been upholding a system that is not, and even an internal system that is not conducive for them at all. It's
Mhm.
being able to look at those with the eye and seeing those with compassion and love and grace, knowing that that is something that you were just taught, and that's okay. And that's the point of coming down here,
Yeah.
especially right now, incarnating and seeing how we are going to be able to create this golden era of goodness and juiciness and just living our
Mhm.
best life, like back to the Harlem Renaissance without all the racism.
Yeah.
But seeing how that's going to come on is that we have to, like, I can't even fathom a world where everybody is just waking up enjoying the life that they've created for themselves, and the rippling effect. Like, it feels like, like the Wild Wild West, where people don't even want to come outside. Like, there should be weeds rolling across the grass or something because people are not outside and
Yeah.
enjoying life. It's just so much energy of dread in the collective. It's because that's that fear, because we're not taught to be sovereign, and the fear of what's going to happen, the
Mm.
fear of who we're going to look to, because we're not taught to look to ourselves. I don't
Oh,
know where that tangent came from. I'm sorry.
snaps for you. That was so good. Yeah. You are such an incredible channel for wisdom. Like you just like I feel like it just like comes through you and you're like and everyone's just like, yeah, okay, I need to stop everything and listen. No, that's beautiful. I love that you brought up goodness. I've thought about this a lot in the context of women, specifically in like religious, contexts and backgrounds, because I grew up in a
especially
very
in religious
yes.
especially in the religious
Yeah,
context.
yeah, because I grew up with a really Christian background. And so the way that I was taught to be good, and I know you have that experience too, it's like pure and saving yourself for your husband. It's very
Oh my God, I had an
heteronormative.
8-year-old purity ceremony at 8.
Oh my goodness.
I was in this program at my school, at my church, and it was
Uh-huh.
like weeks of like these learnings and teachings. I'm 8. I'm like, I'm not thinking about this at
Yeah.
all. Why
Wow.
am I here? I
Right.
literally had a ring that I lost a week later because I said, why am I
Right.
even here?
Yeah, I've heard of purity rings, and it's like we're teaching young girls about purity before they even conceptually understand what sex is. We're teaching them to be pure before we're teaching them the actual knowledge and education they need to know about sex and about what that it like implicates, right? Which I think is insane, and we all just kind of go along with it because it's something that's been happening for so long. And then another thing that came up when you were talking about goodness is like good, being a good employee, showing up as professional, and all of these things also come from these layers of privilege and whiteness, right? And patriarchy of like, this is what the standard is created by people who have this type of privilege, so that it's like, this is quote unquote normal. This is whatever fits into that box. If it isn't, it's other, right? It goes into that label of other.
Even something as simple as me not wanting to fucking smile because I'm
Yep.
busy.
Yeah.
I'm busy. I was a barista. I love coffee. I plan on later on starting a holistic apothecary coffee shop with
Oh
like
my God.
elixirs and
I'm
teas
there.
and like a healing center in the back, like
Yes.
for medicine women that don't want to run their own businesses, but also want to have like that space to do their thing.
I
I'm
love
going
it.
to do that because I've lived in coffee shops and they suck. And they suck not just because of the coffee, but because of the environment. Like
Yeah.
coffee was like shops started to be like this atmosphere of just like getting to know people, networking, having these great drinks that like came from the earth and just being able to sit there with these elixirs of goodness. And the essence of the coffee shop of just being so fast, like we had morning rushes. People want their coffee. It's 8 a.m. Why are you so focused on me smiling and not the fact that I've been able to bust out 10 drinks in less than 2 minutes? And that I'm sitting here training all of your baristas because I'm the best friend you have, but I'm the one whose hours you cut because I just wasn't smiling enough for you. I'm the only one that can dial in the espresso machine so that the espresso doesn't taste sour or watery or bitter, so that you
Yeah.
can actually serve good coffee to your people. I'm the person that's coming in at 6:30 a.m. to do that. But your
Right.
main focus was that I did not smile enough.
It's wild. It's
When you
wild.
talk to customers, they don't care. So these structures are just set up so that you have something,
Right.
something to complain about. It's
Yeah.
always something. It's always
Right.
something.
No,
I get on Instagram
absolutely.
too
And
much.
I feel like that's something that's so focused on women, right? When we're walking down the street, someone's saying, "Oh, you should smile. You look prettier if you would just smile," right? It's like things that are not said and taught to men. And it's the way that women, and when you are socialized as a woman, you appear as a woman, you have the body of, a woman with that femininity. It's like those expectations, those connotations of what it is to be a woman in society. And again, be giving, right? Constantly, you got to do it. You got to do it all. You got to do it with a smile on your face, and give and give and give. And it's these structures that have just been built on these layers of privilege and patriarchy, and of course capitalism, and is just very, very broken. And so I think there's a lot of, like you said, a lot of, like, if we had more of these conversations of who people were, who are connected to their souls on a really whole level, in a completely expanded way that is outside of the mundane and the norm, right? Of like, how are you? Good. Okay, let's move on, right? It's like, I know that probably drives you insane. But
Oh my God. I'm like, if you don't say something else, I also respond to people when they say that good is not an emotion. Like, do you know that? Good is not an emotion. Gaia, she does not like my husband at this time of the day.
it's
But
okay.
rocking with authenticity of being mothers, I'm not going to be able to stop my child from screaming. That
Yeah.
doesn't make what I'm saying any less important. Like what came up as you were talking is that this idea that women have been labeled as weak leaders, and that's why it's so difficult. And they were in the book I'm reading, they were talking about the 2016 election, like re-traumatizing women all over again. Like, well, women can't be president. Women can't lead a country. Women can't do this. And like these ideas that just because we're very in touch with our emotions, just because we have this more flowy, more unified way of thinking about things makes us weaker in comparison. That being able and then labeling us as aggressive, mad, unstable, because we're
Right.
allowing our emotions to be processed and that we are understanding that we're feeling emotions and that's a human
Yeah.
experience is labeled as weak leadership. And so
Yeah.
that you have to be dominant, you have to come in suppressing who you are, which actually makes you a worse leader because you're
Mm-hmm.
suppressing who you are and making yourself concave in and not actually be able to show up and
Yeah.
advocate for those that are looking to you. Not saying that you need to be overpowering anybody, but
Mm-hmm.
this sense of lions don't overpower anybody either. They're
Yeah.
just alphas. That's just the alpha of the pack
Right.
because people trust him, people respect them, because it's usually the pair,
Yeah.
the woman and the man. And
100%.
also, that's what I was about to say. It's also the woman and the man that leads the pack. It's not just in animal world. It's not just the male species. They use both of them. The only
Mm-hmm.
people that think that women are the weaker sex, weaker species, are humans
Yeah.
on this planet. And it's just the understanding right now, especially as women, especially as even men wanting to fall back into your feminine, is being open to that level of softness while holding the same strength and and knowing and remembering the world that you're creating, not the world that we've lived in.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, that is so powerful. And I think for so long that masculine energy of the action and the doing and it falls into that wounded masculine of like beating out your competition and being the best and being on top and doing whatever you have to take to get there, and suppressing your emotions, don't show any
Being on
emotion.
top. Being on top.
Yeah, and then it's like, and then for the feminine, it's that that receiving and that waiting and that being in touch with our intuition and our gut and listening to our bodies and listening to our energies, that is seen as less than, just because the wounded masculine has constantly been so men have made it
And that's
so
where it
superior.
normalized like killing people just because they're in your way. Like literally, like murdering people because they're in your way. Like
Yeah.
where do we draw the line at this? Like
Yeah.
where do we say, oh yo, this has gone a little far and it's been happening for quite some time. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe we're like, what's the stemming of this? Like we're treating so many symptoms without really allowing ourselves to see the root. And I see this in the coaching space, in the spiritual space. Like we're talking about all of this surface level concepts. Like that's why I
Mm-hmm.
love the people and I'm very selective about who I actually follow
Yeah.
and and indulge in their content, because there's a level of remembrance that we are doing things differently. Therefore, we need to go a little deeper. Therefore, we need
Mm-hmm.
to access a little further back of the roots, like in my gene keys, even. I can't even move forward if I have not really recollected, and this is not in an overwhelming way, but really connected what got us here. Why are we
Right.
here? You can't move past your edges. And this is not staying in the past. And sometimes this idea that you gotta only live from the present on. You don't need to pay attention to the past, that all the past is behind you. I get that, but the past is creating you in this moment. So if you don't know what's creating you, how can you change? How can you
Mm-hmm.
recreate? How can you cultivate, curate, release, restore, rejuvenate? How can you do
Right.
any of that if you're not paying attention to how we even got here? And got here as a singular person, and got here as a collective. This
Yeah.
idea of individuation versus individualism. Like we're
Mm-hmm.
living right now in an objectified, perpetual state of individualism. That's why it's hard to make relationships and maintain relationships. That's why it's hard to have coworkers. It's why this competition is so prevalent in our world, because we're so, and why we can't see past our own triggers. And that's why online is so easy for people and trolls to come up and project their view of the world onto your page and project their opinions and tell you off or do all of this stuff or cancel you, because they're so focused on their individualism and who they are as a singular unit, which is important. But in the sense of individuation, you understand that you are you. But if we're paying attention to astrological bodies, there's no Aries without Libra. There is no self without the other, and there's no other without the self. They counterbalance each other. So once we're able to fully be in our authenticity, coming back to the first part, being in your fullest authenticity welcomes you to other people's authenticity without repelling it. You're naturally filling in puzzle pieces. You're becoming this whole picture by being your fullest self and allowing people to be their fullest self. Now we're completing this picture, this puzzle of the globe, of everybody seamlessly fitting into each other without having to overpower each other, without having to cancel each other out, without having
Yeah.
to leave breaks and chains and systems, because we can be fully ourselves and be fully indulged with other people because we're respecting and honoring our authenticity.
Wow. a word. That was so beautiful. Yeah, amazing. I'm going to actually end on that. I think that is good for someone to like really, really soak in and take in. Like, honestly, if you are all listening to Asia's words and just this conversation, this is enough to expand you into being inspired to do more of this work, to do more of this healing, to look at the world a different way that we've been taught and start questioning why. Where is this coming from? What are the roots of this? And what are you going to do differently about it? Right. So amazing. Can you share how people can find you and how people can work with you and soak in more of your goodness?
Absolutely. So I am on Instagram at Sacred Soul Synergist. I'm not great with spelling, so we're gonna have to figure that out. I can't do that at the top
I'm
of my
going to
head.
put it in the show notes, so don't worry. I'll have the link there.
Sacred Soul Synergist. See, rawness. I love words, but spelling them off the fly, I am not Aquila in the B. Not me. But at Sacred Soul Synergist on Instagram, Sacred Soul Synergy on YouTube. Right now, I have long-term mentorships. So much talking, my throat got dry. But right now, I have long-term one-on-one mentorships, like dealing with your expression, opening up your authenticity, relieving of ancestral and conditional and internalized oppression and traumas, as well as building brands that are in alignment with that authenticity and making like being a rebel with a cause. Like that's what I really want every person that's going against the system. And this is what a rebel is. It's like, you're just choosing you. And that's rebellious in the system that tells you to choose everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. It's not this like person that's like about to burn everything to this ground, like, or
Right.
it's just you being really to be you being willing and having the courage to go first, choose you and take a chance. Really anchoring into more of your spiritual gifts, like opening up. I teach a lot of people how to channel, opening up their psychic gifts, balancing and clearing out chakras and DNA activations. It's a lot. I can't even explain all of it in this things in a short time, but I also have short form one-on-one healing intensives as an intro into the long term, just to try it out and dip your feet in, get it going. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. And I'm going to leave all of that information in the show notes. So please go and check her out. Follow her on Instagram. She'll have more information through the link in her bio. I'm sure can message you if there's
absolutely. Please message me. Please.
Yay. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here, being on the podcast today. I appreciate learning from you. I feel like I got so much out of this. I know everyone listening is going to absolutely.
I got so much out of this. Sometimes when I channel, new things just come through me. I'm like, this is good.
100%. Yes. Well, I love it so much. And thank you everyone for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe. If this episode resonated with you, please take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram stories, and tag me at tiffanychung.co. I truly appreciate interacting with every one of you. Catch you all on the next one.